This message brought to you by Kelly's Accounting, located at 310 West Washington in Monticello. Best of luck to the 2025 graduates. Now you get a chance to make a difference in your world.
Graduation means a new beginning for our community's young people. Some of them are going on to pursue advanced education, some have already taken full-time jobs, and others are headed for apprenticeships in their chosen field or are entering military service. But whatever they do next, we want the members of the class of 2025 to know that we wish them every success in their future endeavors.
This message is brought to you by Piatt County Collision Center, located at 1200 Bear Lane in Monticello. We're very proud of all your accomplishments, 2025 graduates.
Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Mr. Adam Ibbotson, is the superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools. Mr. Ibbotson, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Seth. Thanks for having me.
When's your last day of school?
23rd is the last day for student attendance. That's a high school graduation that night at 7:30.
Yeah.
We've got 8th grade promotion on the 22nd on that Thursday evening going on. We're in the midst of all sorts of year-end celebrations. We've got concerts going on. We've got celebrations happening in the grade levels. This, of course, is Staff Appreciation Week for all of our teachers and staff, and I wanted to recognize that a little bit today. We have a great set of staff members, whether they be certified teachers, paraprofessionals, nurses, teachers, administrative assistants, custodians, bus drivers. It takes everybody to make school work every single day. So not only is it Teacher Appreciation Week, but just appreciation for all the staff members that make this happen and take care of kids.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You know, and every time I go to Maroa, I just enjoy it. You know, I really do. I enjoy working with the folks that I have to connect with, whether it's our school interviews we do, you know, in the wintertime, or the sports we do. So, yeah, you got a great, especially administration, I think, at least. So.
Yeah, great people. And I think as we finish the school year, this is always kind of I've always termed it the mayhem in May, where we're going really, really fast and trying to get to the end. And people are, we're wrapping up all those things that we've done in the school year. And reflecting back on the year, it's crazy to think that I'm almost through year number one and thinking about all those things that happen. And I've just appreciated being embraced by the Maroa-Forsyth community, being embraced by the school staff, embraced by just the school district in general. It's been a really great experience. I've learned a lot. I've got a lot to learn, but it's a great set of communities, a great set of kids, and I'm very blessed to be there.
You know, I want to say something real fast, if I may. I want to give you kudos for jumping right into these interviews you do with us. You know, a lot of superintendents, you know, they want a year, they want 6 months, they, you know, let's do maybe every other month. You just jumped right in and did this. I mean, and you came in knowing exactly what you were talking about. You know, it just, I was really thrilled when you agreed to do this every month with us, and I appreciate you doing it. So
I think it's important, like from schools. I think sometimes education will sometimes get a bad rap when you read about it in the news, or you read about it in social media, or pieces like what's wrong, but there's so much that's going right with schools. And I think as superintendent, it's my job to carry the flag for the district and to talk about the great things that are happening. And I think if we're out there telling our story, whether it be through a radio interview or social media or putting things out there, people need to know the good things that are happening in our schools.
Yeah, and it's not always and it's not always like rah good things. You know, it's not like we're doing this great and this great and this great. It's, you know, like we talked about AI last time. You know, like, hey, we don't know everything about this. Yeah, but doggone it, we're learning it. You know, we'll talk about cell phone bans at some point, I'm sure. Like, yeah, you know, like, yeah, this is coming and this is how we handle it, but, you know, we're probably going to have to adjust and do this different, or, you know, like we're here and we're probably going to have to get there. Like, it's not always like the, you know, just cheering yourself on, you know, patting yourself on the back. There's admittance of like, hey, we don't know everything, but we're going to learn, and we're going to get as close to knowing everything as we can.
And I'm excited just thinking about moving forward into next year. You know, a couple things that are really kind of moving forward is we're going to start our strategic planning for the fall. And we're working with a group called Educational Leadership Solutions. And they're going to work with our district and our community and our stakeholders starting in September to start planning out what does the next 5 years look like. And thinking about what those things are, like what we don't know, how do we want to craft some of those policies? What do we want the district to look like? If it's people coming together to make that happen, usually you're going to find a really good result at the end of it. So it is exciting to think about those things and just to tell the story about what's happening, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I appreciate you being transparent through it all, especially year one, and everything. It's just been a pleasure to have you in and look forward to what's ahead with us. Speaking of what's ahead, you're starting to think about end of school year things, but at the same time, those summer projects, summer activities are right around the corner. What do we know about the summer in Maroa, Mr. Ibbotson?
So we've got several projects that we're taking on in the school district. One of those projects is we're looking at our roofs. We've talked about before just some of those things that the high school's 20 years old, which is crazy. But we're in the spot now where we're doing some roof replacement pieces where we've had some damage. We've also got some refurbishment of happening on some of those roofs as well to try to make them last longer so they don't become a bigger issue down the road. We've also we replaced the part of the grade school shingle roof a few years ago and worked through it. Now we're going to work on kind of the rubber membrane part of that roof and kind of restore it as well. So that's a big project. That's our biggest project that we're taking on this summer. And you'll see that probably go from the summer even through the early parts of the fall to try to get that done. The other project that the board approved bids on was working on a concession stand refurbishment. So that concession stand area and ticketing area, when you walk into Walter Boyd Field, hasn't really been touched a whole lot since it was built back in the early 2000s. So we're going to come in and redo some of the cabinets, redo some HVAC work in there with ventilation, try to work on the floors, try to work on some of the restroom pieces, just to update that and get that to where we can work through it easier. There's so many people that volunteer in that space, and it is so busy, not just in football times, but we're hosting track meets and sectionals, and it's a big piece. And people interact with their school district a lot of times through our facilities like that. So that's exciting to think about. To work through it, and we're going to work on that really starting here at the end of May. And hopefully we get a lot of that done by the time we hit that first football game in August.
Right. And football is one of those strange sports where you start in night one, it's 95 degrees and everybody's sweating, and then by week 9 you're out there in coats and blankets and cheering on your team. And so that building probably goes through a lot of wear and tear in that just that 9 weeks, let alone the seasonal changes and everything.
And I think as we looked at that project, we're using the Illinois School Maintenance Grant to do part of that as well with some other local funds. I feel like that area had just kind of been band-aided together for a while and got to the point to where some of the moisture issues and things that we were dealing with, we needed to work with those cabinets and make that a cleaner, safer area for people to work and volunteer. So I'm excited for that part along with the roofs. We also have other general things that we're working on, just general maintenance, painting, just upkeep on things with the schedule. Keith Garner's our director of building and grounds, and he does a great job of coordinating all of our workers and getting that set up. I really am thankful for him and his work and all that as well.
Is there enough space in that building? Do you need more?
No, that space is totally fine. It's just kind of thinking about making it more efficient in terms of even electrical, plumbing, and kind of looking those pieces to try to make sure it's more efficient for whenever we do have events, how we're going to manage that. So the space is totally fine. The space was designed. It's really cool. The other part that's happening in the concession stand is it's got an archway to where we have a lot of bird nesting issues.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember.
So that's going to happen this summer. That'll be the first thing they do is that we'll put a drop ceiling in it. Because it becomes kind of a health issue for us that we have to clean up nonstop. So we'll stop that and put that in there. So when you walk through that ticketing area, it will look totally different in the fall.
All right. Very good. You mentioned the roofing, or you mentioned with that concession stand ticketing area that you'll have some funds from the state to help pay for that. How about roofing? Do you get much assistance from the state on that one?
No, we're not using school maintenance funds there. We'll continue to use our capital projects fund. So we have the county school facility sales tax that helps feed that along the way. We had a few of the proceeds left over from the middle school building piece that we're using for that as well. But mainly we're funding that through some of those county school facility sales tax. Macon County was one of the first people to pass that. And that has been a huge game changer for school facilities for a variety of projects. And you continue to see that pay off as we do maintenance to keep our schools in good working order.
Did you have that in Williamsville?
We did not for the longest of time. And then right before, I believe it would have been the 2019, that spring, Sangamon County passed it for the first time. And that was one of the vehicles that was used for Williamsville to do their big remodel and building. And that's what Springfield 186 is using for a lot of their building pieces now.
Yeah.
We did not have it for several years, and Macon County has had it for a long period of time.
Yeah. You walked into a good situation with that.
Yeah. I think that revenue stream, you know, as people travel through Decatur, as people travel on the interstate and travel and spend money, it's other people helping to fund some of that. And I think that goes a long way, that we're able to fund a lot of these capital projects that way.
It's really a game changer for, like you said it, you know, it is a game changer, but it's one of those things where it's, you know, it's such such reliable revenue stream, you know, at the same time.
Sure.
And you don't have to pull from other funds or tax your residents even more to
Agreed.
make those things happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, nice, good stuff. Mr. Ibbotson, let's break here, my friend. Best way for folks to learn about all things Maroa-Forsyth Schools.
mfschools.net website. You can also follow us on Facebook and social media, see all the things that are happening in the district.
That is Adam Ibbotson. He's the superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools. My guest in studio. More to come with him on the morning show. WHOW.
Exclusive benefits. Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn steady, beans higher, wheat trading lower. July corn up 2 pennies, 4.49.5. September corn up 2 1/4, 4.28 3/4. December new crop 4.41 1/4, up 2 1/2. July beans 10.54 3/4, up 9 3/4. August beans up 8 3/4, 10.48 3/4. November new crop 10.31 1/2, up 6 1/2. July wheat down 6, 5.23 1/4. September wheat down 6 1/4, 5.37 3/4. July bean meal 296.60, up $1.90. July bean oil 48.61, up 16 cents. Livestock market, May feeders 297.52, up a nickel. June live cattle up 67 cents, 214.92. May lean hogs down 15 cents, 90.50. Energy market, June crude oil 60.29, up 38 cents.
AgriTalk is the radio talk show for American agriculture. Hi, everybody. I'm Chip Flory, your host. We join you weekday mornings from 10 until 11 on WHOW, on AM and FM, and on the WHOW streams. We provide farmers and ranchers with timely insights and information aimed at improving their operations. Join me, Chip Flory, weekdays at 10:06 on Central Illinois Ag Station, WHOW.
Find out how you and your family can save up to 40% on the meat, produce, and grocery items you use every day by clicking the Clinton Save-A-Lot icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Jay Peterson here from Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton, Farmer City, and Maroa. Find out how Pekin Insurance can give you peace of mind by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Mr. Adam Ibbotson, superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools, my guest in studio today. And, you know, Mr. Ibbotson, we think about summer projects and all of that, but you know, like we say at the beginning of the school year, before we know it, we'll be starting the next. So how about getting ready for next school year? What has to go into that?
Yeah, so we're in the process right now of finalizing schedules and thinking about what things look like for next year's school year. Online registration will open on July the 1st, and then it will close the 3rd week of July. We're trying to look through that registration period to try to get all of our stuff ready for busing, scheduling, numbers, new students, trying to get all that together. So that will start on July 1st, and then we'll run through the 18th. And then we will have new student registration starting the week of July the 21st. So new students will be able to come in. They'll be able to check in at any of the 3 buildings. Again, if you're a new resident coming to the district, you got to have 3 proofs of ID that you live in your residence. Usually it's like a property tax bill or a rental agreement to show that you're paying for where you live. And then 2 pieces of mail that document that you are actually receiving mail at that location. Birth certificate will be required as well in terms of guardianship. And those new students can bring those pieces in. We'll start sending out mailers to everyone. We'll start posting things on student online pieces probably at the end of June. So people can get prepared for that. So registration's happening then. We've also got several summer camps that are coming up with basketball, football activities, middle school, high school sports. All of those things will start ramping up for everyone as well in the summertime. And before you know it, we're going to be at middle school softball, middle school baseball practice when we get ready in July.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I got a question. All of that requirement for the proof of residency, is that a state thing?
It is. Yeah,
Is it really?
Part of the code. So in terms of what we do at Maroa is when you are essentially shifting in your buildings, you've got to essentially prove residency. So if you are falsifying that you're a resident and you're really not, that's a misdemeanor charge that could come your way.
Oh.
So when you're a pre-K or kindergartner, you've got to prove that you're a resident with those 3 pieces of documentation along with the birth certificate. What we did
I figured that would be really tough for, I don't want to say transient. I feel like that's not correct, but like maybe that family or situation isn't, like always stable and they're kind of moving a lot. Like, yeah, that, I don't know. That's got to be tough for some people, I feel like.
And there are pieces within the code. Like if you are in a situation where you're declared homeless along the way, those requirements are a little bit different. If that's a part and you find your situation,
okay,
that's something that we do find a little bit that happens for us. But it's an issue really statewide, working with that through the McKinney-Vento Act and that process to try to declare homelessness.
What about like a domestic situation, someone that's like resettling after something like that?
If you have something like that in terms of the custodial pieces, we'd probably ask for a custodial agreement, and we'd have to look at who is that student is actually living with and where they're staying at. So that student, in terms of the custodial agreement, we'd have to look at all those individual cases, and we would work through that with parents. Typically, our office staff are really good, and administrators are, okay, here's my situation. What do we need to do? And then they will guide you through the process and what that looks like and get you contacted with the right agency or the right group to try to help you out along the way.
Gotcha. I didn't mean to take us down a rabbit hole and jump into the weeds a little bit.
No, it's important. Like our residents, sometimes our students and families, we ask people to reprove again in 6th grade.
Okay.
And then again in high school, we ask you to prove that along the way for residency. That's a common practice that you've seen in more and more districts. At Williamsville, we did the same thing. Maroa had already been doing that before with that residency piece. It's just a way to make sure that the kiddos that we're serving are our students in our district. And doing that each time you move the building, that's an important thing for us.
I see. Okay, very good. Where do we leave off? We were talking getting ready for next school year.
Online registration, I'm talking about that. We'll actually look at setting the district calendars are set right now. So I would encourage families to get onto the school website. Again, mfschools.net, and you can find the school calendar for 25-26, and you can find the calendar for 26-27.
Okay.
So the first day for student attendance, whenever they come back for next year, again, this is crazy to think about, but it's going to be here before you know it. We'll be looking at trying to come in on that 15th, on that Friday, to where we get started. And then we'll be in first full day on the 18th.
Mr. Ibbotson, I couldn't tell you, I hate to say this, but I couldn't tell you what my kid's last day of school is, and you know what the first day of school is for next year.
Well,
of course, that's your job. I'm just saying.
Sure.
I haven't even thought that far.
Well,
ahead,
I know, I think it's important as we kind of wrap up and think about the end of the year, like here's the last days of school. Kids are going to be done on early dismissal on that 23rd.
Yeah.
But thinking about planning for next year, if you're a family at Maroa-Forsyth, you're going to know what your calendar is for next year,
right,
and for the year after that.
That's right. You approved them 2 years out, right?
Yep. So you can see when the spring break is. You can see when the calendar is. And if you navigate to the website and go to the calendar, underneath of the calendar, you'll be able to see the current one. And then there are 2 links that send you to PDFs of the next 2 year calendars.
Wow.
So think about that. There's also pieces. I would remind parents about the immunization requirements, about the physicals, dental agreements, and all those pieces that have to happen. That'll all be paperwork that we'll be gathering up.
Gotcha. So online registration.
July 1.
July 1. Yeah. Gotcha.
July 1 through the 18th.
Gotcha. Very good. So excellent. Now, I know some districts have gone to kind of waiving the costs of like registration. Does Maroa do anything like that?
We still have fees. Like there's still pieces for if you have in free and reduced lunch pieces. If you're declared in that round, there are some relief for some of those fees.
Okay.
We're not changing any of our registration fees for next year. Those will all be the same.
Okay.
The board will look at additional fees at the May board meeting. We'll usually approve handbook changes in May for next year. We'll also look at student fees for next year, but we don't anticipate any changes to the student fees. maybe extracurricular wise, we'll kind of look at some of those things about admittance into games and some of those things. But in terms of like the registration fees, I don't see any changes for those. I'm not recommending any changes to the board.
About 30 seconds. Did I miss anything with you today?
I just want to say I appreciate this forum. I think local radio is really important. I think for superintendents in the area to tell their story about education is important. I appreciate being welcomed into the area by you and by other superintendents. I found this area to be very welcoming and really just hospitable to help to come in. And I appreciate the opportunity to share the Trojan story.
Well, I look forward to more interviews with you, Mr. Ibbotson. Thanks
Sounds
for making
good.
time with us as always. Adam Ibbotson is the superintendent of Maroa-Forsyth Schools. My guest in studio this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Of course, we're live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news comes up next on the morning show.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton